Laura Leslie, reporter for WRAL-TV, here with us. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you very much.
You're chasing this budget like I am. What do you make of it coming in at $19.7 billion and what appears to be a compromise on education funding?
Well, it clearly is a compromise, and the 5 Democrats who helped to broker that deal over the weekend said they stuck to their guns to get that number up there. They wanted the $300 million for K-12 education. They got that. They wanted $100 million put in for the UNC system. They got that. They wanted another 60 in Medicaid, and they got that, and some money for Golden Leaf as well. So, this was clearly coming more than halfway to the governor's total budget number of 19.9. The 5 Democrats who helped make that deal happen said it's good enough, she should take it.
Well, here's the deal. I've seen a veto go through before, been sustained after Democrats supported a Republican bill. So they support the bill and then also support the veto.
Right.
Could that happen in this case?
It could happen. You're right. House Bill 2, which was a the Healthcare Repeal Act, that one was like you said, some of the Democrats voted for it and then voted to withhold or abstain to maintain the veto.
Yeah.
Sorry. In this case, though, they're saying that's probably not going to happen. And I think it's because, they put a lot of work into this bill. They were involved in sort of engineering the deal in the first place. And, the 5 of them have sort of signaled that they think it's a good budget and they're going to stand behind it.
It's dangerous to ask a news reporter what you think, but why would the strategy be for Speaker Tillis, maybe Phil Berger, to look to those Democratic crossover votes rather than look to the governor and try to deal with her and her team on the budget after a veto?
Well, part of it is this relationship, this rather dysfunctional relationship that the governor and the GOP leaders have at the moment. I mean, they seem to barely be able to talk to each other without breaking out into some sort of threats of this or that. These guys are working with them in the legislature, so that's always a more collegial relationship to begin with. Plus, these Democrats happen to be among the most conservative in the caucus, and several of them, I think 4 of them at least, voted, maybe all 5, voted for Speaker Tillis, for Speaker, over their former Speaker, Joe Hackney. So there was already an opening there that they might be receptive to Tillis's arguments about the budget, and I think that's why you saw them go to them. Plus, you're working with 5 people, you're working behind closed doors as opposed to working in volleys of press releases being launched, on the internet, and it helps to keep things maybe a little bit more productive and a little bit less confrontational.
What happens to Democrats who buck their governor and buck their own Democratic caucus on such a bill that has such heated rhetoric?
That's a good question because, on one hand, you could say these guys are sort of seeing themselves as the heroes. They're the ones who are going to make this deal happen and going to, get the budget in place, which is, of course, what everybody's been talking about being afraid of not happening by the deadline, right? On the other hand, you do have the question of 2012. How much does this weaken Governor Perdue? How much does this weaken the caucus? Speaker Joe Hackney said yesterday that he believes the caucus will stand united on other issues as well. But I think once you see those fault lines begin to crack, in that caucus, then the GOP leadership starts to see an opening that maybe the Dems can't stick together. And that's really the only leverage the governor has.
I mean, I've heard Senator Tom Apodaca say he can't believe a budget bill could get any better. You hear the Democrats saying this is the worst thing that's happened in this state ever in the history of the state. What is it? Are the differences that great between the governor and the House and Senate Republicans?
Well, the Republicans say it's not that great. They say it's $230 million, which is about right. They say 0.5% in K-12 funding, which is about what it is. However, the Democrats say the top numbers don't tell you the whole story, that there are ways that the money is spent and the cuts that are made and changes in priorities that they simply can't agree with. And so they say, the numbers don't tell the whole story. But, every year, all you need to do is switch the scripts, right? Last year, the Republicans was the worst budget in the world, and the Democrats were okay with it. So, every majority always comes up with the best budget ever.
We've heard the lines before. Laura, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks a lot.